Hi everybody, Satnam. This is Alex Kottmeyer and welcome to my channel. So for today I've decided to do 10 tips on being spiritual, but I've decided to move it into two parts because it gets into being a lot. This is a topic that I get a lot of questions on social media, so I thought it would be a good topic to share. And let me just tell you that I write notes before, so everything is written down. So sometimes I look down and then talk to the camera. And again, this is my third YouTube video, so I'm still very, very new at this, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about myself and my spiritual journey. So I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school and I grew up with basically a lot of fear and a lot of feeling guilt and shame. It was not the greatest upbringing spiritually that you can find, but that also made me question that there was more out there. I wanted to find out more, and I knew that there was something bigger than all of us and that we were all connected. So at an early age here in Vancouver, I think like around 18, 19, I studied, I started taking yoga teacher trainings. And I really got into like the philosophy of yoga, and that started to open up some channels in me that there was more things that were possible out there than just the Catholic religion. But it wasn't really till I was really in India that I awoken. So later on in life, like at 22 or so, I totally awoke and I figured stuff out. I'd been reading a lot of self-help books at this time, like The Power of Now, and also The Seven Spiritual Paths of Success by Deepak Chopra. And suddenly in Rishikesh, India, I had an inner shift and I awoke, and what I would like to say is the laws of the universe started making sense for me. And when they started making sense for me, there was a big shift. Like for instance, the law of least effort. Like suddenly I didn't have to do so much to get the results that I wanted. It's just like a positive way of thinking, but you actually really have to believe it. And when you believe it, you start to vibrate at a different frequency, and then stuff starts to happen. But this didn't happen till later on in life. I also had a very good teacher in India, Gangesh. That was his name, and he taught me a lot of stuff that I already knew but didn't really know. I don't know if that makes sense, but like we dove into tantric stuff, and that doesn't mean sex at all. It's just a philosophy, a way of Hinduism that made a lot of sense for me. Non-duality. It's just being non-dualistic. The one side of the coin and the other side of the coin being the same, love and hate being the same. Just, it was a completely new way of thinking for me, but it made a lot of sense. Yeah. So now I'm back in Vancouver, Canada, and I've been back here since 2013, so it's been a while. I came back at age 33. I'm 39 now, and when I came back from India, I was teaching tons and tons of yoga, but I felt that I couldn't make a living in Vancouver just teaching yoga. So I had to go explore other stuff. So I started working in film as a stylist, and that is what I do now. So what I have to say about being in Vancouver, though, is that it's a lot harder to be spiritual in Vancouver than it is in India, because in India, Hinduism is everywhere. I consider myself Hindu. It's everywhere around you. There's prayers going on at all times. It's just more centered everywhere. And here, you're kind of more isolated and more on your own. So you really have to bring your spiritual journey from your inside outside here. And in India, it felt like it was just always all around me. Also in India, how I made a living was teaching yoga and meditation every single day. So that also kept me awake because I was just always teaching the teachings, if that kind of makes sense. In the last 20 years, I've been to more than 40 different countries, being in many ashrams, seeing many different cultures, and I've just really, really, really learned a lot. And now I want to learn what I've learned while traveling and while learning all these different philosophies. I want to be able to teach it with you guys. I think that I've healed a lot in the past 20 years of traveling, and a lot of my wounds have been healed, and I know that some of my teachings can help your wounds heal too. So let's start the 10 tips for a good spiritual journey. Tip number 1, be realistic. A lot of people start spiritual journeys and want to be masters right away. They want to feel that they want to levitate or they can do magic, and guess what? That won't happen. You won't have magical powers in one day. A lot of gurus in India meditate their whole lives and never get to that part in life. In our society these days, we just want insta. We want it to happen really fast. We just we say, oh, we want to be spiritual? Okay, now you're spiritual. That doesn't really happen. It takes time. You have to go deep inside of yourself to be able to find that. I find that in the West, a lot of people do a lot of psychedelics because it goes to the same part of your brain, the pituitary gland. It's like the seat of intuition. It's where it lights up when you do acid. It's the same place that lights up when you meditate. So I find that a lot of people in the West do psychedelics to get this change, to feel something faster. But from my experience, I haven't done psychedelics. I think that meditating and doing your own journey is the more organic, personal way to get there. But it is the same place that lights up. It's wanting to feel that peacefulness, wanting to feel that yellow light just glow. It's more subtle. Everybody's spiritual journey is going to be really unique, so it's going to look different for other people, and that's what makes it beautiful. You need to have a base before you can have awakenings. So you need to be ready for the awakening. If not, it's too much for you. Your mind, body, and spirit must be ready. So be realistic with your spiritual goals and don't believe everything that you hear, okay? Tip number 2, be patient. Kind of goes with what I was saying with number 1. So when people start their journey, they want to receive the results right away, and it takes time. And you won't see crazy results in 1 week or in 1 month, but what you will notice is that your life starts to improve and that your life starts to get better and stuff becomes easier. You're going to get as far as you will in this incarnation. That's just the way it is. So be gentle with your process. Tip number 3, be open-minded. So there's so many teachers out there and there's so many different belief systems and practices. It can be overwhelming at the start of your journey. So stay calm and stay open-minded, and don't stick to just one teacher or one belief system, because that can close you off to other belief systems that you can resonate with. I like to say that I'm open to all religions. After all, we're all one. I follow Hinduism. From a scientific point of view, you can't really measure miracles. You can't really measure faith, right? So if I came at this from a scientific point of view, I probably wouldn't have healed as much as I have healed, and I wouldn't be able to be a yoga teacher. So find a journey that you want to do and then commit to it, because that's how you grow. Tip number 4, número 4, spend time alone. So we live in this world of constant stimulation. So you go to work every day, and then after work you go see friends, or you go out to the pub, and you eat and you watch TV, and so stuff is always just happening over and over. And realistically, how much time are you spending by yourself? Like, how do you know yourself? Do you know what makes you thrive? Do you know what makes you tick? Do you know what makes you happy in the morning? So when I started traveling, I didn't know anybody. And so I would do stuff that would make me happy. I would just walk around cities. And so, for instance, okay, when I got to Delhi first, it's like this huge city that looks like a construction site. And I had this overwhelming fear, but as soon as I got my feet on the ground outside, I suddenly felt so confident. Like I've never felt so confident before. And it's like everything is whirling around you all at once, but yet I was rooted, I was confident. You know, being alone just made me in a huge city be the most confident person that I can be. And this doesn't happen in everyday life. So for me, going to big cities on my own is a big confident booster. When I'm alone, I release a lot of stuff. I release a lot of attachments. I release a lot of suffering being alone. But when you're alone and you release stuff, you're also, when you're growing, you're gracefully growing. It's like elegant. I can't, you can't, you can't be connected to somebody and be growing elegantly at the same time. It's just, it's different. It's a different way of growing. Not that you can't grow with a partner together, but there's something very noble and graceful about just being able to grow on your own. One big thing that I do when I'm on my own is I meditate. Meditating for me is huge. It calms my anxiety. And second, I journal every morning. And I think I've told you this before, you guys, that I journal every morning first thing when I wake up. I just start to write. Pen hits the paper and I write and write and write. And it structures my day and it gives me a sense of purpose. It like, the first couple of weeks that I did it, the first couple of days, the writing felt like it was nagging, but then suddenly it turns inspirational and it turns into what you want to do. And it's a great way to get everything out of you. So at night before I go to sleep, I ask the universe questions. I just ask them out loud. And I hope in the morning I receive the answers in my writing. So from somebody who's traveled to over 40 countries, I know you've heard this tons and tons and tons before, and I'm going to say it again. All the answers that you want are inside of you. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. And you got to be alone to be able to find them. Yeah. Number 5, it's not going to be pretty. Okay, if anybody who's had a spiritual awakening has had one before, you're going to know it's not pretty. You know what? You cry, you get messy, you don't feel good. A lot of stuff changes. You have to drop friends. You got to drop changes of thought patterns. A lot of stuff has to be let go. And this can be really emotional. And it can actually feel really, really isolating at times. But remember, the only thing constant that we have in life is change. I don't know if any of you have taken a Vipassana, a 10-day silent meditation. That is what they stick into your head over and over and over. Anicca, anicca, change, change. That's the only thing that's constant. So for stuff to be able to shift and move into different directions, you have to, I like to say, I close a window and French doors open, right? You need to be able to change. So it gets messy and you get to know yourself and you let go of a lot of shadow stuff that you have about yourself. It just goes out. But when we try to let go of stuff, we try to let go of stuff as gracefully as possible. So, you know what, we're not going to like, if it's a friend that we're letting go, we're just going to let them go quietly, right? If it's a thought pattern that we're letting go, we're just going to observe it, let it go in one ear and out the other ear. So it's a very graceful, soft way of letting go. And we try to be as humble as we can in our messiness, right? We try to make it not be a big deal. We just feel it, express it, and let it go. So you guys, those are 5 for today, and then I'm going to do 5 others another time. Coming up soon, it will be the next one, obviously. But I'm just trying to keep these as like short so they're not too overwhelming for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first 5 spiritual tips of being spiritual. And I hope you will tune in next time. Thank you so much. Bye.